When I got back to Brazil in 2010, after doing a lot of backpacking, I had an idea to do a website that compares broadband, paid TV, and mobile phones. Because I was searching for broadband in Brazil and I couldn't find a comparison website, so it was the first one. I raised capital from 4 angel investors to develop the technology, and then we sold to a corporate group 70%. We are generating hot leads for their call center operations to close the sale by telephone. The corporate, they gone into administration in 2016. I had to stop operating the business. The CEO of the group, he disappeared, and so no one could sign for my dissolution of a contract to get out of the contract. I can't sign for the business because I only have 30%. I lost that business, what I think was very successful. I had to go back to live with my parents because I couldn't afford my living expenses. And I didn't know what to do in life. Because once you have a title, you have a flat, you have a car, you have your savings, you have a high salary, and then suddenly you don't have anything else. I've changed what success really means. And that really means when you enjoy your journey, when you go and stand up and you take on your next step and do it a little wiser. I personally is one of the type of the person who I'm very curious. So, and the audacity to make this happen, that's what makes me move to a new direction. It's very natural being around dogs because we have 6 dogs at home in Brazil. And since my childhood, I used to feed street dogs with my grandmother. I was walking one day in the park with a Portuguese influencer during COVID, when everyone was so scared. And I looked at the guy who was walking the dogs, and I said to her, I want to be a dog walker. And the guy, he approached me and he offered me a trial the day after. That's how it started. Now, if people want to do the same as I do, I do a dog boarding. I moved from my previous place because my landlord didn't accept dogs. And I sent through a platform saying, my landlord doesn't accept dogs, and I'm walking with dogs, but I wanted to start taking dogs home. That's dog boarding. And she was very helpful, and she replied to my message immediately, you can rent, because I can't afford to rent the whole place. I'm going to rent your 1 bedroom, and I'm going to start taking the dogs to my bedroom, because I've started walking immediately with 8 dogs. So people who are actually starting and doesn't have the experience being with dogs, they start with 1 dog, 2 dogs, and take the difficult ones. When you take the difficult ones, that's when you learn.
As an early business, I have some repeated customers, but it doesn't cover my living cost. So I had to have another job on the side, working from home as a media sales consultant.
You need to have a very good communication with your client, because you're dealing with someone's best friend, is someone's child, that's everything, for some people, that's everything they have is their dog. Listen to people patiently before we talk. So good communication, or if you want to have an extra income, or if you want to have a career change, if you are committed to get to some place at that time, it's your commitment to be there, even if it's raining, you have to be there. And also you have to learn how to relax, because some dogs, they are pulling on the lead and they're going to start dragging you along. So if you're not relaxed, they can feel it. Good communication, commitment, and relax. That's important for this job.
In order to be a successful dog boarder, I think you have to be a bit of a magician. But it starts with a love of dogs. If you don't have a passion for dogs, and a deep understanding of canine behavior, and an acceptance that despite however well disciplined and structured your days are with dogs, there are going to be times when there's a mess where you don't want one, or there's a little bit of noise where you don't necessarily always want it. It's important to also remember that it can easily become 7 days a week, and sometimes that includes nights, particularly if you have a dog that's unsettled or poorly, or suffering from separation anxiety that for whatever reason hasn't been picked up in pre-assessment. So you need patience and understanding. You need flexibility. You need to be reliable and trustworthy, and you need to have compassion and empathy. And I think, if you're considering becoming a dog boarder, it's important to make sure you have the right skills and attributes necessary to be successful, and also be prepared to put your hand out and ask for help and guidance from fellow professionals who've been there and got the t-shirt, as it were. And if you can get that blend right, and then you should be on the road to a successful environment.
I do a group of dog walking Tuesdays and Thursdays, home boarding when people go for holidays. You don't need to have that regular service. And daycare for regular clients only. They want to have a day off, or they're going back to work. And I also do training.
It just allows him to know how to behave with other dogs. Obviously for us as well, being able to get into the office is really important. So like 1 or 2 days a week with Mariella, it allows us to do that. And I think just, mixing up Frank's routine is helpful to have. And just generally is really good for him. He tends to come back more well behaved than when he's been with us.
He can smell, he can have that sense of neuter dogs from a mile distance, and he runs after the dogs and he chases the dog basically. So I have to put him on lead and not talk with the dog, or not call, or even call his name.
Obviously the commitment and responsibility around having a dog is massive. Particularly I think Frenchies are quite demanding. They're very they want to be around you all the time, and they don't like being left alone. So that side of things I think has been a lot, but it's kind of suited our lifestyle as we've evolved with him, and we love having him. So at the moment, for example, like I was speaking to Mariella recently about scooters and skateboards, because the sound just makes him go a bit crazy. So Mariella's been looking at doing some training with him in that, even the Hoover as well. So that at the moment, but there's lots of things, how he interacts with other dogs in the park and getting him to recall. It doesn't ever stop, I wouldn't say.
Okay, Frank, come here. This is force-free training, only using treats. It's a longer way of stopping that behavior. But you cannot do that for more than 2 minutes per day, or otherwise they'll get stressed and they'll stop learning. They're just stressed about it. The other way of doing it, the slip leash, but because some people, they don't know how to use, they're not confident using the leash, I would not recommend, because that can cause other behaviors, because you need to have your arms relaxed, short. Just put it on his neck. Under his neck, look. You see here? Yeah? Sit. Short away. This normally takes 2 to 3 weeks. If you're not great with this method, which you can call it as a punishment for the dog. It's a negative crossing with positive. Then I would recommend just using the treats. Some people with the treats, they take 2-3 months. Some people, they take all their life. I only have 2 clients with 2 dogs because they're very scared of their dogs being with other dogs. It is cheaper, much cheaper, to leave a sitter at their home looking after their dogs than bringing the dogs here and do home boarding.
They're too excited. Porque primeiro eu procurei a Mari para fazer a educação deles, para ajudar a ensinar a usar toalete, socialização. E depois disso, eles gostavam muito de vir para cá, então eu continuei com o daycare para continuar a socialização, para eles gastarem energia e ficar mais comportados em casa. Matt is a sweet boy. Ele é mais carinhoso, porém ele é muito nervoso e carinhoso. Metade, metade, né?
Ele é...
Theo, ele é mais desapegado, mas ele gosta de passear bastante.
Sit. Stay. Hold.
Eu tive que entender que eu sou a líder, não eles. Então, antes de eu conhecer a Mari, os hábitos com os meus cachorros eram mais igual para igual. Hoje, eu sei que eu sou a líder, eu tenho que dar o comando a eles, para eles me obedecerem. Isso foi o principal.
Matt? Matt? Matt. Yeah. Matt? Matt? Sit. Matt? Matt? Eu.
Foi bem difícil, porque eu era muito apegada a eles. Ainda sou, mas agora eu entendo que eles precisam do espaço deles com outros animais, com outras pessoas também, para socializar ainda melhor. E eu também preciso ter o meu tempinho comigo mesma, sozinha, e aproveitar mais.
The Pomeranians, they are very excited when you have a guest coming to your house. You can actually train the dog owners to be calm when the guests are coming, but you cannot train the guest. For them not to barking at guests when they come, it's best to separate the dog in a different room. In 2019, we had in the UK 90 million dogs pets. In 2022, that number had risen to 13 million. And the number of dogs who's gone to shelter after reopening has doubled, because it is very difficult to separate from the dog, not just at home. The dogs can't just stay all their time at home If they're not socialized with other people and the dogs, they start having some kind of unwanted behavior. Not everyone can afford this service. So to separate from the dog, you have the anxiety. Dogs, they mirror their owner, including their personalities, which is really funny. But if you have anxiety and you can't leave your dog alone, and when you leave your dog alone, your dog gonna bark, your neighbor's gonna complain. I live with other people. I live with 2 girls in the house, and sometimes they're not home, sometimes they're at home. So maybe someone knocks on the door, and their anxiety causes distress, not just in your life, but also for the dog's life. I had to learn how to relieve that stress, that anxiety, by training that requires practice and patience.
Well, I saw Mariella walking in the park with other dogs, and it was quite clear she was a dog trainer, dog walker, and we were looking for someone for Dolly to stay with. And so I approached her, asked some questions, and then Dolly had a trial stay with her. And I think Mariella just seemed really friendly with the dogs. They looked really eased, just a really nice manner, because when you're leaving your dog for the first time, it is a little bit like leaving your child with somebody. You want to know they're going to be safe and loved. And the trial went really well. And then from there on in, we used Mariella. I'd say Dolly is a very loving dog. She can be a little bit needy as a dog. She doesn't like to be left on her own. And with Mariella's help, we built up the time period that Dolly could be left on her own, which was really helpful for us as a family with the kids at school, and we both work. So that was really helpful.
She can be left alone in my place. Not since we started, but now I do leave her alone, and she's absolutely fine for up to 2 hours. Because I have other dogs, and they change, and she barks to some people, not everyone, when they walk through the door. Some people can be quite frustrating because they say, why she doesn't bark to, like there's another 2 people in the room, she doesn't bark, and then she's barking at me, but she can't stop barking at me. But that's to do with her personality, and she doesn't like some people, that's what I believe, and dogs can't lie. Dolly is very funny. No, we don't have to like everyone. No. Yeah, and she also when I call the other dogs, she's always next to me, and when I call the other dogs, the other dogs don't come, she screams at them. She's like, that's what she does. Stay. Yes. A little bit. Sit.
The area we live in, the park, the dogs are not allowed off the leash. So it's not something that we do all the time. We can walk around the perimeter of the park, and Dolly can be off the lead. But there are a lot of busy roads and a lot of other dogs. And Dolly, some dogs really love to interact with other dogs. Dolly doesn't, as Mariella says, she has a personality where she likes to pick and choose who she wants to interact with. So we can take her off the leash for short periods of time and walk with her, and she will walk by our hand. But it's not something we need to do every day. I guess if you were to live in the countryside and be walking in fields every day, it's a much different requirement, and you need to know that your dog will return once their name is called. Dolly will return when she has her name called. She has been trained to do that. But walking off the leash, yes, she can, but it's not something we do all the time.
They change when they not with the owners, by having friends, other dogs around. They change when they're in a different environment. I can tell that a lot of dogs, I could only see that big difference when they're with someone else or with someone who's in a calm state. We trust each other. They can feel it. And I remember that I was with my parents here. My mom and dad walk with the dogs, and it was like dragging them along. And I immediately, when I take them on the lead, they are in a calm state, and they walk next to me like on a hill command without training. So that's when I realized that the energy, it is what you think and how you react. Dogs, they have different ways of learning too. So you're not just gonna say, oh, I'm training force free. No, it's not just force free. Some dogs, if it's just the way you react, they can change the way they behave. So taking the dog from the different environment is important to know how your dog gonna perform on training.
I chose dog boarding because we were going away for a few days on holiday and he needed to be taken care of. I wanted him to be in a home environment where he'd be very well looked after. He's a family dog. It was better for me that he was in a home with somebody that I knew. I knew Mariella from having taken care of him before, and I knew that he was going to be close and in a house with other dogs, and basically I needed him to be loved for a few days.
When people are over that he doesn't know, he gets very excited and he's very playful.
Do you think he's energetic? Do you like cuddling him? Yes? Big cuddles? Does he do big cuddles with you?
Yeah.
Yes?
He's very playful, as Louise said, and very energetic, but also adorable and very cute.
He's still a young dog and he's a beagle, so he tends to run away. So actually Mariella has helped with his recall. We tend to be a bit careful when we let him off lead, but with her, he's actually been better at doing that. And the other thing is just generally house training. He's okay here with us in an environment that he knows, but when he's not in a place that he knows, you never know what he can do. So he needs to be house trained a little bit better.
Come. During peak season, which is in Easter, half term, and summer holidays, July and August, and December and January, which is Christmas and New Year, this place is absolutely packed. So people coming, and some dogs, they stay with me for 2 months. So the owners, they bring or pick them up dog's bed and their food. So this place is full of beds. They sleep here, they sleep on the sofa. I let them feel comfortable wherever they are. Some dogs, they sleep on the top of the other. And this is the cooling flooring. So when it's too hot from June to August, they like to lay and relax on this floor. Very relaxed if they're not playing, but still some dogs, they like to be alone. They have their own space, so they come even if there are dogs in the living room or here in the cooling flooring. The dogs come in this room, they have their own moment, they stay here alone. So during the day I leave this door open. During the night, some dogs, they sleep here, and I close this door, but I have a CCTV camera. Some dogs, they sleep in my bedroom. That's the usual place where they sleep with the owners. I try to make them to sleep in their own bed by putting the beds here and giving them treats, desensitization to sleep in their bed. But they're so used to sleep with the owners next to the bed or on the bed with the owner, they end up sleeping on my bed. Looking after the dog is like looking after a child, looking after someone very valuable to their life. So they want to relax and be updated on a daily basis with pictures and videos of their dogs. And also I can do training on pulling on the lead, separation anxiety, stop pulling, stop barking when they see other people or dogs, stop jumping on the counter for food, and dog socialization.
Benefits to dog boarding for my dog is that I know she's really safe when Mariella brings her out and then stays with Mariella. I believe that she's getting the experience to stay around other dogs and know that she's safe. I know that the dogs that Mariella takes on, they're all trained very well. So I believe my dog is very safe when she is with Mariella.
She's very special because she doesn't like when other people comes and pet her. She comes to you when she wants.
So as well as dog boarding, I have Mariella regularly walks Rosie, and I've seen her change in her in that she's more open to meeting unfamiliar people. However, she still gets quite scared. When Mariella does take my dog Rosie, she is more at ease. I've seen her come out of her shell and come out to meet other people that she doesn't necessarily know. She's still quite scared. She's a Romanian rescue, so she is got high anxiety levels. And I have seen that she does interact with dogs better as well since going to Mariella.
When I have many dogs, because dogs, they have different routines. Some dogs, they wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning for poop. So you have to wake up and open the garden door at 2 o'clock in the morning. Some dogs, they go to bed at 6. Others, they at 10 o'clock, they want to play. So it really depends on the routine they have with their owners. But within 2-3 days, they adapt quickly here. I wake up between 6:30 to 7 o'clock. I take them to the garden and to have their toilet break. And we have our morning thoughts. I give them breakfast. I do a little ritual, a little Reiki music in the morning. I do my meditation. Sometimes I sit, sometimes I just lay on the sofa and just minds go blank, absolutely blank. I try to practice my yoga in the morning. If the dogs, they don't, because dogs, when you move, they just stand on top of you. So depending on the dog, I can do yoga. Otherwise, I just do my stretching, mindfulness, early mornings, because I have to do some exercise because it's a lot of cleaning. This job, collecting poop like about 20 times per day, and then you have to drive, get traffic. So if you don't practice or swimming or yoga or going to the gym, you have to do some kind of exercise if you want to keep up on this job. Otherwise, you're going to end up with back pain. So I do my exercise in the morning, and then I take them for a walk. They normally sleep throughout the afternoon, dogs who are used to stay here. Dogs who are not used to stay here, they're more playful. They want to play or want to observe the other dogs. And then I give them dinner and do another ritual for dinner around 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If it's raining, the garden door is closed, so I take them out every 2 hours for their toilet breaks. If it's not raining and it's not cold, I would say more than 16, 17 degrees, I'll leave the garden door slightly open for them to come and go to the toilet. With this new routine, I found my ikigai. That's the Japanese philosophy that everyone has an ikigai. That's the reason why you wake up every morning. And I wake up every morning to take dogs to the toilet. So, and I go to the nature and I meet my spiritual with my day-to-day to life. So I found my ikigai with this new routine, this new lifestyle. My daily basis is really funny, but not just because they make me laugh, but I feel love for them and I really enjoy being around them. It's one of the best interaction you can have with a dog. It can change lives. You can see how affect people's life too. Some people, they don't have anything else. They don't have anyone in life. They just have their dog. The dog changed their family lives. So it changes lives and it's funny and it makes me happy. Yeah. Well, my mom, she's the most loving person in the world. She's very creative. She makes everything look so beautiful. We're a family from workers, so we always had to work to afford living. She's always, somehow, some ways, told me that your priority is to be independent. And I can't think of my life or the way I am today without my mom's, the way she is.
Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?
Dolly, here, Dolly. Come on.
So Dolly, you used to jump up at people and you don't do that anymore. Could you tell us why that is and how your life has changed? No? Fantastic. So I've now got a question for Theo and Matt. What is it that you enjoy most about daycare with Mariella? Theo? Thank you, very friendly. Frank? Yes, thank you, Frank. So could you tell me what it is about dogs' testicles that you're so threatened by? Come on, Frank? No? Okay. Oh. Okay, I guess that's my answer.